This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Regina League.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast here in the South Charlotte area. And today I have Saket Nigam. He is the franchisee for Mosquito Shield of East Charlotte. Welcome.
Thanks, Regina.
Did I say your name properly?
Yeah, Saket. Yep.
Yes. Well, it's so nice to meet you and super excited. We are in the middle. I mean, this part of the country, I've lived in a lot of places, but ticks and mosquitoes are big time here. So we could talk, I'm sure, for a very long time. But I'd love to know a little bit about you first. You know, what did you used to do? What brought you to this industry?
Yeah, so, I still run a mortgage company, but I get eaten up by mosquitoes, and my wife wanted us to have a dog when we got married, so I got a dog, and I found myself in the backyard playing fetch in the middle of North Carolina summers and springs and falls, and if I went outside, I would have about 10 to 15 mosquito bites in an hour. So I had some free time on my hands, and I was looking at potentially adding a business outside of running, the mortgage company that I manage, and talked to some franchise consultants and looked at a couple of ideas. And, I think I saw Mosquito Shield, and it was a interesting program, right? The product actually worked. And I used my normal pest control company to spray for mosquitoes, and the next day I had just as many bites as the first day. So when I looked at the model and I saw that it was a working product, I was excited, one, for myself, but then I thought, hey, other people in Charlotte might be interested in having something like this that actually took care of the mosquitoes on your property to let you enjoy it.
Well, that's neat. So you were a customer first and then said, hey, I like what I see. This would be a great business model. Well,
Exactly.
You just mentioned, there's a lot of companies that do that. And I never even thought about your own pest control company, venturing into that side. But what makes Mosquito Shield different?
So what really makes us different is the amount of times that we're coming onto your property and the product mix of what we're spraying when we're on your property. Most normal pest control companies who are spraying for mosquitoes, or even the specialty mosquito control companies, they're coming to your property every 3 to 5 weeks. And the problem is, if you guys live in Charlotte, is it rains. It rains pretty regularly. With mosquitoes and how fast they can breed in Charlotte, given the heat, you can have mosquitoes on your property about 7 days after it rains, potentially a little longer, depending on if your property drains or not. So with how often we come, because we come realistically every 2 weeks, when it rains, we're at your property within 7 to 10 days. After, in the middle of summer when it's drier, we're there between every 17 to 21 days. We're coming to the property a lot more frequently, preventing mosquitoes from hatching or coming to your property more often. The other thing that makes us different is our blend of product. So we are spraying a mix of insecticides that are going to, kill the mosquitoes on your property. We're spraying something that also prevents their eggs from hatching. We're also spraying some essential oil mixed smells that help keep the mosquitoes from coming back onto your property. It's smells that they don't want to have. So that blend is kind of really what sets us apart, and has kept our customers coming back for more.
Is that smell something we can smell as well?
A little bit. So you have lemongrass and peppermint oil.
Oh,
So
that's
you
nice.
get some of that smell, and then it dissipates pretty quickly though thereafter.
So is it one product that does mosquitoes and ticks, or are those separate products?
So you have to spray for mosquitoes and ticks a little bit differently, and the blend of the insecticides that you use is slightly different, but probably 90% common between the two. With mosquitoes, since they're harboring in trees and they're harboring in shrubs that are higher up, you're fogging a property, call it waist high and above, because that's really where you're going to have mosquito problems kind of harboring. With ticks, it's long grass and it's low tree line clearance. So it's almost like you're spraying your waistline and below really when you're spraying for ticks, and you're kind of pushing, like it's almost like you're mowing your lawn with how you're spraying your yard in that situation.
So when is tick season and mosquito season here for us in Charlotte?
Yeah, the good part is they both kind of overlap. April is really the start of mosquito season and tick season, and October is really the end of mosquito and tick season. But with how hot it's been, and I want to quote unquote say global warming, because things are getting hotter and staying hotter for longer. We are seeing people getting mosquito activity in February here at times. I've had clients call me and ask me to come out and spray for them then. And, in the middle of November and it's 70 degrees, we still have some people who have mosquitoes now, even still.
So if you're on a program with you and you're coming out automatically to the yard during typical season, you just call and you can extend that. Is that how it works?
Yeah, generally for our clients who book the full season, we will, if they need sprays outside of regular season, we will just add a little bit to them to come out additionally. And that's just really for the time and effort to be able to come and take care of their property.
Gotcha. So season is April to October, typically? Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. So what are some of the misconceptions that you get asked a lot?
Yeah, one, a lot of people ask, does it even work? I will say it works. I get significantly less bites, and I mean like 15 to 0 at most days, when spraying, and the results last. So I think that's the first misconception. People are often disappointed because they've used a service before and it just hasn't been effective. There's factors for that, and that's something that when we come to your property the first time, would tell you about, hey, this may or may not be the best solution for you. Second misconception we get is it safe for pets and kids? Because these are EPA regulated products, nobody should be telling you it's safe. That's the first thing that I always tell clients of ours. Now, when our product is allowed to dry properly, which is about 15 to 20 minutes in the middle of summer, or 30 minutes to 40 minutes in the middle of April and October and November timeframe, then it poses no issues. It dries as regular, and you can use it. And these are the same insecticides that a lot of farms are using to actually take care of pests that ruin the product and crops that they use as well. So that's one thing that I think people should know. The other piece that we often get questions on, well, is it safe for the bees? Unfortunately, the product will, if we're spraying bees directly, it will kill the bees. But the problem that most people think is that we're destroying hives and things like that. And this product doesn't take to a bee and stick on them, and they can't bring it back to their hive and kill their whole hive. And that's, I think a lot of people are, and maybe rightfully so, scared, right? Bees are a great pollinator. They're a great insect for our world and our planet. And I think when we're trying to take care of mosquitoes, we're spraying at times when the bees aren't most active. Generally, they're really active in the early morning before it gets hot, and they're active in the sunset, dusk time frame when it's a little cooler. So generally, when we're coming to spray, it's between about 8 to 5 in the evening. And that's not really when most of the bees are going to be super active. Now, if somebody is worried, we can spray our natural spray only, and that won't kill any bees. But the problem is the results are also not going to be as effective at killing and preventing the mosquitoes from coming back to your property. It's like if you spray bug repellent, that's kind of the way that I would frame it.
Yeah. I hadn't realized that you actually are fogging the area for the mosquitoes and all. So what happens, let's say I've got a nice little vegetable area in my yard and maybe a container garden. How do you work around that?
Yeah, so oftentimes what we'll do is when we come to the properties, we'll talk to the owner and say, do you want us to spray your garden or not? More times than not, we generally don't try to spray the garden because people are going to be eating the product. Do they wash? Do they clean the product properly? We're spraying around that garden, around the areas around that garden. but not necessarily the plants themselves. But again, this is the same insecticide that they're spraying on the farms that are, all of the fruits and vegetables that you're getting probably have a dosing of this insecticide at some point.
Yeah.
So really, it's kind of the homeowner's decision as to what they want us to do.
And then for ticks, I'm assuming like you're really looking to protect the dogs and the pets.
Yeah, there's a mix of dogs and pets. You also have, people are getting bitten by ticks more and more frequently. Less so in our area, just because it's not as wooded as it once was.
Okay.
But if you're in an area where there's a lot of deer, and you're in an area that you have seen ticks, then you're probably going to have some prevalence of them. And just, honestly, I think ticks worry me more than mosquitoes in some situations. But with how warm it's been and with all the, issues that we've seen, we are seeing mosquito-borne diseases and tick-borne diseases in North Carolina.
Wow. That's a little scary, isn't it?
It makes you want to at least protect yourself a little bit more if you can.
Well, this is so interesting. Saket, when you're not working and running your business, businesses now I know, what do you do for fun?
So my wife and I, we love to go out hiking. Charlotte's got a lot of great trails around it. And I love going to the trails. I hate getting the mosquito bites around those trails. So that's the only issue that I run into. But we take our dog for a lot of walks around the area.
What are some of your favorite places in the area?
So we like to go to Freedom Park a good bit just because it's nice and clean, especially when it rains. And then we've been to Crowder's Mountain a good bit, as well as down 74 in Matthews. I'm forgetting the name of the park right now, but it's like they have a really nice vegetable patch, and it's like a biking trail that is 4 miles and it's shaded, and so it's really nice in the middle of summer that you can actually not be extremely hot and still be outside.
I'll have to look that up. Now, have you made it all the way to the top at Crowder's?
We went the back way to make it up to the top, yeah, and then took the steps down, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's a hike and very narrow. Oh, goodness. Well, tell our listeners how they can find you and learn more about your services.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested, we are on Google. They can search Mosquito Shield, and they'll probably find us or our neighbors. Or if they go to moshield.com, it's MOSHIELD.com, they'll be able to put in their information and get in touch with us, or put an online quote request, and we'll give them a shout back.
That is wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to meeting you out in the community.
Thank you very much for having me, Regina.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpsouthcharlotte.com. That's gnpsouthcharlotte.com, or call 980-351-5719.